Hey guys, just wanted to do a real quick video on something I've been thinking about today. I read an article, I don't even know where. I was on my phone this morning, and I'd point you in the right direction, except I don't remember what website I was on when I was just sort of browsing through stuff. I think it was a link off of Yahoo, maybe. I don't know, might have been Facebook, but at any rate. It was all about, life hacks, basically, and challenge that this guy had done to get up early, like 4:30 in the morning for 21 days, because the established thought behind how to develop habits is that if you do something for 21 days, then it becomes just part of your routine and becomes a habit that you want to accomplish, rather than being something that you're forcing yourself to do or something like that. Now, I'm not trying to get myself up any earlier than I already do. I already do get up at 4:30 in the morning in order to go to work, so I got that part down. But so what I'm trying to think of, or what I'm thinking of, I should say, is a little thing I'm going to call 21 Days at the Bench. And basically, we're going to start in the beginning of November here, because the end of this month is just about around the corner here, and I got a lot of functions outside of the house coming up here at the end of the week. Halloween and everything's going on. So, the general gist here, and this is not a buddy build, this isn't a group build, this isn't anything anybody has to participate in. This is just basically me talking into a microphone and you listening. If something I say, resonates with you and inspires you, then, so be it. But basically the idea is just to get some time in at the bench every day, or not every day, but for 21 days out of the month of November. Now, November, of course, is what, a 30-day month, I think, or a 31-day month? I'm not going to sit here and do the nursery rhyme. I'll look it up on the computer. It's a 30-day month. I thought so. So, 21 days out of the 30 days, of course, gives you a week off. That pretty much covers your weekends. Of course, Thanksgiving and the holidays, surrounding that will be, its own thing, especially if you're like me and you got kids. They'll be out of school for that entire 4 or 5 day weekend, depending on how your school district works things. But, the idea is just to not even like, I'm going to build something during this month and complete it. It's just to establish the pattern of some point during your day. If it's before work, if it's after work, if it's, some point after your kids go to bed or whatever it is, just to get some time. It's not even a set amount of time. I'm not saying that every day I'm going to come down here for an hour. I found myself down here a lot in the last probably 6 to 7 days, because work right now for me is a little bit slower than I like it to be, but it is what it is, and it'll be rocking here, and I'll be wishing I had the time off. And so what I've been doing is further reorganization of the models. You can probably see, like, over my shoulder, whoops, wrong shoulder, over that shoulder back there, that stuff now isn't what it used to be the last time we did one of these high-def videos and you could actually see behind me. I've sort of taken the great thing is I know which shoulder it's over, and I'm still pointing the wrong shoulder. I've taken the race car stuff and sort of divvied it up a little bit. I just have my GT3 and my DTM stuff up here now, along with a couple of rally kits that I have, because I don't really do rally, but I have the Polo and the Skoda and stuff. And then I've taken all of what we consider to be like GT1 class and Le Mans stuff, and I put it on the shelf here directly behind me. And I've cleaned out the bottom 2 shelves that had a lot of the older blanks for the police cars. A lot of you guys are like, no, not the Crown Vics. No, don't worry. The Crown Vics are still right here. But I had a whole bunch of Caprices and Dodge Chargers. And they're sitting on the floor over there right now, because where this shelf is right here, I'm going to be building another one of these black plastic ones in a couple of minutes when I get off doing this, and this goes into editing and encoding. And basically, the black shelves, with the size of the boxes that the North American kits, these Lindberghs and Revels and stuff come in, you can take 2 per shelf. So I'm just going to double up all of these Crown Vics, so that, basically this column and this column will just be one thing of, model kits, rather than it being 2. So that'll sort of take everything and shove it over one column. As it works out, there's exactly the same amount of Crown Vics here top and bottom shelf that are, so it'll work out that I'll take these two shelves and combine them basically into one. And that'll give me room for the stuff I pulled off the other shelves, and hopefully a home for the Ferraris, because right now they're on a other shelf over here in front of me. And doing all of that reorganization and all of that moving, I have come to the conclusion that even after buying another shelving unit, which is replacing this sort of squat metal one, will put me at 6 of those big black plastic shelves, and that's not going to cover it. Still, I'm still going to need one more because I have space on the shelves for about 42 more model kits, and I have 80 of them stacked in a pile on the floor because I'm trying to organize them by basically manufacturers and or years, depending on which way we're going. And I got to get some stuff done. And I've spent a lot of time down here at the bench in the last week because of just sitting down and taking a break from moving stuff around. A lot of the stuff, hasn't been moved. It's dusty. Everything has to be swept the floor. And actually, we're having a new furnace installed here next week. So had a crew come out of family members and tear out the old furnaces, and just a lot of cleaning and a lot of home improvements have been done here actually in the last month. And so I spent a lot of time sitting here looking at this stuff, but I'm not actually accomplishing anything per se. Like, here's my cancer awareness build. It's in a box top now because it was in a bag, if you recall, but that's it. It's all further it's gotten. The bottom of the Tamiya box, which is the 70s Tamiya build, it's in a pile right there, and it hasn't really been touched either, other than going through it and sort of planning colors and build. I've gone through the instructions, I've planned the builds, so it's just a matter of actually getting time to actually do it. And it's not even so much getting time to do it; it's just dedicating the time to do it. It's a lot of time just sitting here and sort of staring off into space, plotting how I'm going to reorganize these shelves, and maybe it's sort of slack, being a slacker a little bit, but it's just been easier to sort of focus on this mess here and not actually on anything that I'm doing. So hopefully by the end of the month I'll have this taken care of or under control. I don't know where I'm going to put this next set of shelves. I'm going to have to throw some stuff out down here. I've got just boxes and boxes of junk that I've had for years and years and years, and I don't even know what's in these boxes. So we're going to go through these boxes and get some stuff out of the way because I have a lighted display cabinet that I want to put up and get plugged in and start putting the completed builds on. Actually, I do have the 2 of those, and all that happiness. So I need to clean up anyway. And anyway, I realize we're sort of babbling, but it's just sort of a free-form kind of video, so go with it. But yeah, like I said, the idea is just sort of get to the bench for at least 3 of the 4 weeks. It may not be an everyday thing, but it'll try to be several times a week, and just try to get something accomplished. Even if I pulled 21 different model kits off the shelves and just tinkered with 21 of them, one of them's going to stick and going to go forward. I'm not advocating I'm going to start 21 projects and just have parts laying all over the place because I don't even have room for that. But it's just getting the time. I hope that the theory holds true that if I develop the habit of coming down here and working on stuff, either before work or after work, or maybe both, maybe a little, 15, 20 minutes before I leave and maybe half an hour at night, depending on when I get back. Some days I work a little bit later than others. Hopefully it'll develop into a pattern of behavior that will get me down here, especially now that the wintertime's coming and there's not going to be a whole lot of outdoor activities. And I wouldn't say that I'm in any kind of building funk or anything else like that, but we did have just the catastrophic failure of the decals on that BMW, and that really sort of got me from where I was filling with it every day, or most every day, to the point where I'm still working on getting the paint off the body, and it's completely just ground everything to a halt, and I've sort of detoured off into reorganizing things. So I don't know if it'll help anybody out there, but it'll hopefully help me get a little bit more done, because this is getting a little ridiculous. Not saying I have too much, because there is no such thing. But, you know, when you have to move it around a couple of times, because I moved everything off these shelves. We're just going to roll. We're going to take a little tour. I'm going to take this, hang on for the noise, guys, because I'm going to take that out of the stand, and it's going to just make a crackling noise, I know. We'll take a little tour here. I've taken everything off these shelves over here. This used to be where all my domestic model kits were. People may remember that if they've been watching these video series long enough to remember when all the domestic stuff was on these shelves and the import stuff was in front of me. So what I've done is I've taken the import stuff and I've moved it over onto this side of the room, because the longer boxes, being, you know, more stackable, I could get more in less space, if you want to say, you know, think of it that way, than I could with the domestic stuff. The Revell kit boxes, AMT, Lindbergh, and all that, being the size that they are, you could only take, well, let's see, I'm looking right now, about 7 model kits tall before you ran into a situation where you, sorry, my mic stand is standing on my mic cord, and I'm going to slack here, but anyway, you only get about 7 of them to the ceiling, and that would then, you know, basically give you 28, maybe 35 models on the shelf, and then you were really getting crunched into those small spaces where you get about 16, or 12 or 16, depending on the box sizes. So obviously with the Asian kits, they're flat and long, and it's, you know, let's see, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I've got them stacked about 11 high. So it went from a situation where you had about 28 model kits to a situation where you could fit 44 model kits. And in these middle ones where the gap is smaller, I've got them sitting at 20 apiece, or maybe up to 24, depending. Some, you know, Asian boxes are wee thin little cars, and some of them aren't. So if you look over here, this right here is my bland Toyota shelf. I know I'm not going to zoom this camera in or anything, so you just got to trust me if you can't see it. I'm not sure how well this will actually resolve. I know it's high def, and it'll be high def on YouTube, but still. This is all my Lexus kits and all my four-door Toyota stuff. All my Chasers and Mark IIs and Toyota Crowns, which are JDM-only Toyotas, basically. And like I said, all my Lexus kits and stuff like that. This middle shelf is more just generic Toyota in general. It also has one of my empty paint can paint stands and my gloves I used to paint with there. So you can't see it, but behind the box of the gloves is one of the Rocket Bunny kits. You got another Rocket Bunny kits, a couple 86s. The stuff on the far left is all Celicas and Supras. And then I've got some minivans, and then right here on this stack here is all pickup trucks and SUVs. So, you know, RAV4, four-door pickup truck, the Hilux Surf Wide, which is the 4Runner, and then Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm not sure how well this is going to actually work, going below the grade, so to speak, because of the fact that it's going to be dark. But down here on the bottom, you see I've got another shelf of Toyota stuff, along with some Mazdas. The Mazdas are mostly RX-7s and Miatas, and then I've got sort of a historic Toyota shelf, if you want to consider it that. There you got like the older Celicas and the older Toyotas, and then some my Levins and Corollas, and then down here on the bottom is where all of the Mitsubishi stuff is, which is a couple of SUVs and stuff, and mostly Evos, mostly Lancers. And you're just going to see, it's going to just get dark over here, so you just have to trust me when I say what's behind me here. And then when you come over here, now you're in Nissan land, where, I'm trying to find my pointer so I can point on camera. Look out. This whole shelf right here is all Nissan Skylines, all of it, crossed this way. It's R35s, which is the current GTR, which really doesn't have the R35 designation in it, but, you know, it's what people like call them. Tamiya kits, Aoshima kits, some Fujimi kits, the Nissan Skyline 250 GTs, which would be the Infiniti M series here in the United States, except those are JDM. And then you have R34 Skylines, R33 Skylines, and R32 Skylines, and then there's some Prince Skylines, which was back before Datsun and Nissan even existed. As well as the 60s and the 70s Skylines. Some of those are actually Skylines. Some of them are GTRs, but there's all Skylines here. If you come down here, this is Sylvia's Z cars, like the 350Z, the 300Z, the 370Z, and the 280Zs, or I should say the 240Zs. And then I got my station wagons and mid-fours, my Sunny pickups, and what they call the Toronto, which is the Pathfinder. Going all the way back here in the back, I got a whole bunch of wheels here, which is, I believe it's 5 sets of them, so it's not really a whole bunch. It's several sets of wheels, not anything like some people have. And then this whole column is Subarus, this whole column is Subarus, and then the back 2 columns are Hondas. Mostly WRXs here, it's BRZs, and then the legacy-based Imprezas are Legacies, and some of the older Imprezas are here. And then half this shelf is Civics, and the rest is Integras, and then that's all just a random odds and ends Hondas back there. This shelf in the middle here is sort of my overflow Nissan shelf. It's got some of the Infiniti stuff on it, some of the older four-door Nissan stuff, and then back in the back you can't really see is my what I call my Asian orphan shelf. It's got stuff like Daihatsus and Isuzus and Suzukis on it, stuff that I don't have an actual dedicated shelf space for because, well, it would just be silly. Once again, we're going to play with the camera here a little bit, coming down to the bottom of this shelf without it being too bad of a trip. You see I've got all my my French cars there, my Renaults and my Citroens, and then all BMWs, mostly Revell stuff. There's some Tamiya stuff and some Hasegawa and Fujimi in there as well. A couple of quote-unquote rare Dragon kits in there. Nobody cared about them when they were out, but now you can't find them and they're rare. A couple of those BMW kits actually are rare. They haven't been made in a long time. But I am a good eBayer, and I managed to get great deals on them all. And then down here, sort of my British shelf. MGs, Mini Coopers, Jaguars, or Jaguars. The Road McLaren, Aston Martin, and then sort of over there in the corner you see a little bit of overflow Europe. There's some Fiats, or I should say a Fiat, and then 2 Alfa Romeos. And I guess the Alpine is technically a Renault, should go up in the French stuff, but there isn't space. And then I don't know how well this is going to show back here. Actually, probably not. It doesn't look too bad. You see, this is my German orphan shelf here. Got all my Volkswagen stuff, and I've got my Trabants and an Audi and the ICM Opel Admiral. And then down here on the bottom, right here, is all my Lamborghinis. For now, both the Siesto Elemento comes out, we're going to have to stick it back on the corner. We're going to have to build a Lamborghini from some space. Okay, guys, and then I'm going to sort of move myself out of the way here, and this is what's behind me on the bottom. This has now become my Mercedes-Benz and my Porsche storage. I know probably a good amount of people are all like, oh, look at these Mercedes that he has, because, you can usually find this 500 SL pretty easily, but these other ones, I think the only one I actually paid the retail price one was this one. All I got managed to get all these rest of these ones just by, putting the old eBay watch list into practice and catching some good stuff. And then, again, I managed to really get, because, like the early Porsche Carrera and the 69 911 are kits that Fujimi hasn't put out for a while that are getting kind of pricey, like above $50 pricey. And again, managed to snag those at shows, the right show at the right time, at the right place. But, that's that. When we consider the other side of the room where the domestic stuff is, then I think, you guys will finally get the idea of how diverse my collection is, or at least my tastes are. Down here is sort of my truck shelf, if you want to call it that. Got a couple of the Mobius kits. I got the London bus, the big Revell of Germany thing. You see, you got the old Mobius 53-foot reefer trailer, the Mitsubishi Fuso car hauler, and a Trumpeter fire truck. Here we have a shelf I like to call the domestic imports. These are all the Revell of Germany kits. Although I should say the Acura and the Miata are not Revell of Germany kits. Those are Revell USA kits from back in the 90s. But the other stuff is all Revell of Germany kits that have been reboxed by Revell of US. And then if you pan up a section, you get into my sort of overflow odd box size American stuff here. Obviously the Tamiya Jeep Grand Cherokee, I really don't. I know there's a Jeep Wrangler that goes along with that kit. I really don't care for. It's that Wrangler is very much European spec and not U.S. spec, and there's a reasonably big difference there. But yeah, I've got suckered into a Gremlin. This white box here, I probably can't read it from the on your screen here, but this is the Galaxy Limited Aero Sedan. The sedan delivering, of course, the new Fleetmaster Coupe. When I bought this Aero Sedan off Galaxy Limited directly, it was one of the last ones they had in stock, and they had run out of the box art boxes. And they offered to send me my money back. And I was like, I know some guys are really into the collecting the box art thing. Not what I'm into, so just send me my kit and we'll deal with it being white, I guess. And then you got your auto transporter and another truck. It's a European truck, obviously. Just didn't fit down here at the bottom, and it did up here. Got the Meng F350, a Fujimi Astro, and then my car trailers. This is a 38-foot fifth wheel, which I think you can read. This one, the designation on the other end. This is one of the 44-foot fifth wheel trailers. Traded a couple of things for this, and never actually had to pay for it because this kit, again, the 44-foot trailer is also like I guess there's a 36-foot triaxle gooseneck, and there's something else like a 24-foot gooseneck dual axle, and all those kits were done when Galaxy Limited first did the trailers, and then they did a second series of trailers, which involved the 38-foot, and then the 24-foot tag-along, and the little short, 22-foot or 18-foot tag-along, whatever it is, and they never reissued the other kit sizes, or the trailer sizes, I guess I should say, because there were 5,000-piece limited editions. When they sold out, they didn't put it out anymore. And then this is not actually an original haul-away. It's AMT Ertl did that in, I think, 2001. Because at least that's what the instructions say. Anyway, you come up here, haha, see, I have American kits, and I have some old American kits, or at least old in, what they are. This is sort of my 40s and 50s shelf, obviously, if you can't figure that out. Try to get this way, get that glare off the camera. And it's not going to disappear entirely, so you guys are just going to have to deal with it. But this is pretty much 1929. You want to consider that up to 1956. 57 through 59 is on the other side. I might have to take a picture of that and stick it in here at the end or something like that, because this is I can't take this camera around the back without disconnecting from the computer, and that would be pretty much non-functional for you guys. And then we come over this way a little bit. Down here is Ferraris. These need to go someplace else because they're blocking up space I need over here. You can see this is sort of my current production, if you want to consider that, domestic kits, which is pretty much a sad state of affairs when you think about it, because right here, guys, those two pickup trucks in the end really don't count. You've got the two Lindbergh-based Dodge Chargers, because the Tester's one, which is the one that's on its side, is still a Lindbergh-based Charger. And then these 12 kits up front and the 12 kits that are behind it that cover the years of 2013 through 2005. So it's the last decade, basically. There's only 20 model kits. Now, I know there's the build and play new, Corvette and the new Mustang, and arguably the new Raptor. But they're not model kits. And, no offense to Revell or anything else like that, but I would like some model kits. I expect there to be a full detail Corvette at some point. So I haven't gone in and bought the Snap-Tight kit yet, or the pre-painted kit, I guess I should say. But, still, you're talking about there being essentially 24-ish current last decade U.S. cars being made. And when you start really looking at this, all these Mustangs on the front half here, the 2010s and the 2013s, are all based on the same tooling, which was based on the original 2006 and up tooling. So I have 7 Mustangs. Actually, I've got 4 on this side and 4 on the other. So I got 8 Mustangs. They're all basically based on the same tool. Those 2 showroom replica Camaros are based on the same tool. It's a lot of the same tooling being recycled over and over again. And then up here, I've got the front half of my 1960 stuff. Starts in 1960 and goes through, we're around midway through 66 on this side. And I went to 1968 on the other side, and I ran out of space because it turns out I have 18 cars from the model year of 1969. So I need to that's why those Ferraris need to go someplace, because I need to finish putting those up. And, yeah, I guess this pretty much concludes this tour of what my stash looks like at the moment. Consider it showing off if you want to, but it's not really meant to be that. But consider it also insurance. If I should have something happening to the house here, now I've got everything on video for the most part. There's about, like I said, there's about a pile behind all the shelves that you were just looking at, about 80 more kits. It's mostly 90s, 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, basically. It's like the 70s, 80s, 90s are the best hits of today. It's really all pretty much that. There's the 1969 kits I was talking about. There's a lot of Camaros there, obviously. And then there's a couple of Mustangs, and a couple of the Charger and the Dart and all that stuff. And then that's 1970s stuff, and then the 1980s and 90s. No, I don't really have that much 80s stuff. And the 90s stuff I have a little bit more of, because a lot of the stuff I have is from when I was in high school. That's why you see a lot of these AMT kits are still in that 1990s AMT boxing, because that's really, they've been around that long. But you know, I'm not going to infer that I'm overwhelmed by it. I'm not. It does present like too many choices sometimes when you're sitting around trying to think about what do I want to do next. But what I'm saying overall, and the point is that I just need to get some stuff going here. And that is what the whole point of the 21 Days at the Bench is going to be. So, anyway, guys, I appreciate you listening to me just sort of blather on and maybe a little show off there for, you know, a little less than a half an hour. But hopefully, you know, it's not really, you know, I don't want to try to force anybody into anything in the sense of, you know, feeling, you know, I'm going to force myself into it. Because, you know, I understand what Mojo is about, and you know, losing it and trying to get it back and stuff like that. And I've just never been one for the whole concept of slump busting and, you know, getting some kit and sort of, I don't want to say half-assing it, because that's not really the way I want to talk about it, but just sort of, you know, going through the motions to sort of, you know, break the ice, so to speak. I think just getting to your bench and, you know, just fiddling around will get you where you need to be, because unless you're one of those people that, you know, has to build something from the beginning to the end. In this case, that's not going to help you, because, you know, there's no help for you. You're just focused, and I appreciate that, and I wish I could do that, but it's not me. But, you know, for the rest of us who tinker a lot, you know, I think that a lot of times when you sort of jiggle that Mojo handle a little bit constantly, you know, maybe the first 3, 5, 6 things, just 10 things you pick up really aren't going to catch your interest and keep it, but it may sort of get you down that road. It may inspire you to where you need to be, and maybe that, you know, the 11th thing you pick off the shelf is the thing that gets you going, and, you know, before you know it, you're rolling through stuff again, cranking out stuff. I like to say that I've been rolling through and cranking out stuff, but I got put one kit last year, and I'm on track to build one. Well, I built the one this year, the one that won everything. Wow, that sounds egotistical, doesn't it? The one that won a few things here recently, last month. But beyond that, you know, I don't have anything else that. There's a model show here in town on Sunday. It'll be the Old Potbelly Gang's show out in New Stanton, Pennsylvania. It's the first, November the 1st, at the New Stanton Volunteer Fire Company, if you happen to be in Western Pennsylvania or Northern West Virginia, or Eastern Ohio. I suppose Western Maryland. It's not that far of a drive. But you know, it's right at the intersection of I-70 and the Pennsylvania Turnpike, so it's not like it's hard to find or it's off the freeway by very much. But, you know, really the only thing I have to take is still the McLaren. I had hoped to get the BMW done by then, but the BMW completely derailed. I never really got the Mercedes-Benz SLS, the Russian themed kit going, because it's just the BMW sort of took hold. It was the, you know, I jiggled the Mojo handle by having a few things going, and the BMW is really what seized my interest and went rolling. And so the SLS sort of fell into dormancy. And, you know, there's no way to get anything done. It's supposed to be 71 and hurricanic. I know that's not a word, but tomorrow we're getting the remnants of Hurricane Patricia, which I know for the people in Texas, complaining about some gusty winds and a little bit of rain is nothing for the floods that you guys had down there. But, you know, it's not like I could run out and paint something in 48 hours, something into completion, because it's not going to be that way. But, you know, I really like to go someplace with the builds, in the sense that I have you know, a lot of the article talked about putting roadblocks in front of yourself with the excuses and stuff like that. Look, I've got the staff more or less organized. I have a lighted display case that will essentially keep everything dust free, more or less. And like I said, it's a lighted display case. It's glass. It's got storage underneath. It's, so I can put away some of these boxes I have laying around here that are only boxes that I transport stuff to shows in. And, that can all go underneath of it. And, I can debate and worry about the whole dealership, photo backdrop at a later time. Excuse me, guys. And, I don't want to be the person that is constantly going, well, the next thing I need to do before I finish another build is, or the next thing I need to do before I do blah, blah, blah is, because it, gets into one of those situations where, well, then you never get anything done. And that is a large part of my problem. I'll look at something and I'll go, well, I want to do that. But before I do that, I want to do this other thing. And, the lighted display case, it didn't even need to be lit. I mean, that's not even a thing. And just having some place to put everything, because even the built stuff is on shelves up high to keep it away from the kids and the cats and stuff like that. But there's no place to sort of put it and lock it away where it won't be damaged and I can still see it. I took care of that problem. It's, that part's done too. It's time to just stop fiddling around and looking for reasons to not do things. And, get to it and see if maybe developing a habit can't get some results. So, anyway, guys, I've blathered for long enough. I'm boring myself at this point. So, we'll catch you guys and see you on the other side.